your host, and Jett Radio is dedicated to community service as a means of sustainability. Today through Saturday, Meals from the Heartland is holding a meal packaging event in Hy-Vee Hall in Des Moines. About 15,000 people get together there and package meals over the course of those 4 days, and about 5 million meals by the time they're through go out all over the world. So if you're in the Des Moines area, check it out. It is a great intro activity. A lot of families get involved, a lot of work groups, and there's excellent conversations around the table while that's going on, because that's what volunteering does. Breaks down barriers, and people just are free to be themselves. So today we have Jay McDonough. He is the president of Green TV, and we're going to talk about sustainability and how environmental sustainability interacts with community sustainability. So, Jay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, Jay, welcome. And introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and Green TV.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on. GreenTV.com is a news website, and pretty much we aggregate news from trusted news sources from all around the world. And what we do is we try to inform people of important issues that the mainstream media is not covering, such as tar sands and frac sand mining, and there's a wide range of topics we cover. And pretty much we're a volunteer organization trying to make the world a better place. We're highlighting people who are sustainably responsible, and we're also launching a concept very soon called Green Talks, which they're like TED Talks except green related, and we're allowing CEOs of organizations that might have a business that's not necessarily green a chance to come and present to people, and we'll capture that on video and give them a nice video for free to go and distribute, and encouraging businesses to be sustainable and get involved in this transition. So that's pretty much it for Green TV. We are opening the doors to volunteers and hoping to grow a lot this next year. We met a lot of great people at the Midwest Renewable Energy Fair this year. We're planning on being in D.C. for the Green Build event coming up in November. And we're big supporters of Bernie Sanders, of course. We had the pleasure of being on the risers when Bernie Sanders was in Madison, Wisconsin, and we got some great footage, which also made its way to the public the public TV stations, which is pretty neat. Yeah, I mean, you got any questions for me?
Oh yeah, I got all kinds of questions for you. But
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, I'm a media design professional. I worked as a corporate video producer out in Delaware for a few years, and then I worked as a freelance web developer. And Green TV was actually one of my web projects that I exhausted the resources, and then I decided to take a little bit more personal involvement in it, and just decided to keep doing that work and working with them. And then it transitioned into me being part of the company to being the president of the company. And there's been a lot of things that have transpired in between that then and now. But, looking back over my lifetime, the work I've done with Green TV is definitely some of the work that I'm most proud of.
Yeah. You can tell when you go to your site that a professional did it. It has a really nice look to it.
Oh, thanks.
Your design skills are evident there.
Well, thank you.
Hey, you triggered some questions right away when you did your intro. When you're talking about CEOs participating in Green Talk. Now, does that give them a chance to kind of green up their business? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, the thinking is my associates and I, we participated in some TED Talks, and we did the video for them, and we we saw the format, and, and I mean, I like TED. I know there's a lot of different, flavors of TED Talks, but, there were some things that they did that we really didn't like, they don't pay their video people, and there's just a lot of politics involved with it that, we thought, hey, this is a really great, idea that people really seem to embrace and like, but we could improve on it and make it, a business where we're going to pay the people that are involved and where the media is, freely distributed. And, the point of this business is to fund a nonprofit. It is to create positive change in the world. And, and there's a big difference there. Our motives are to create positive change in the world. And I really appreciate what you said about the nice design on that website, because, we try very hard to do all the work we can, although we don't get paid for any of this. It's all volunteer work. It always comes out of our pocket. And, we're not going to give up ever, because we believe in this. And, and that's why we do it. And I think that's really important for people to know, too, is, this might be the buzzword of the day, but it's not the most rewarding career path in the world to, go fight for sustainability, but, your grandchildren might appreciate it.
Yeah. Now, yeah. Have you, you cover a variety of topics on your site, but do you go to green businesses like Shackley or Interface, things like that? What are some of the green businesses that come to mind the most?
I can't really say that, we've crossed that line yet to working with other great green companies. So one of the things that we do have to be very mindful of with what we're currently doing is greenwash, because it is a popular topic. A company like Mobil could come out and say, oh, we're the most environmentally sustainable company in the world because we gave all this money to this project or something, when, their actions are directly otherwise. And so, somebody that would, be in my position would say, oh, no, that's not, what we're trying to, encourage. So, I mean, I guess there is some opinion behind the topics that we're highlighting, but,
yeah.
But I mean, that's just being honest and upfront. And really what we're highlighting is the things that are intentionally not being highlighted by the mainstream media, which should be highlighting these things, things that are poisoning Americans, things that are destroying the middle class, things that are really important that many people just don't even know about.
Sure. Do you think that you can help? Excuse me. Do you think you can help, for example, oil companies convert to a more sustainable business model? For instance, they have so many resources, and they could easily use their resources to create a more sustainable future for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts along those lines about playing a role in helping companies transition?
Sure. I mean, I'm a firm believer in the philosophy of attraction, not promotion. I believe in leading by example, embracing positive change, and creating the change in that way. I think these companies that are, destroying our environment are well aware of what they're doing, and they really don't care. So it comes down to me and what I decide to do with my time. And, although I don't like these companies or what they're doing at all, I've decided to spend my time on trying to create positive change instead of, trying to tell these companies what they should do. Of course it's a big problem, but I think the bigger problem is the media. It's the lack of knowledge, and the lack of, common knowledge between all the people in our country. I mean, our mainstream media used to be a public service. The president could come on, interrupt the airwaves with an important message and tell everybody what's going on. Now, if they don't like what he's saying or he's not paying enough, they don't air it. It's a for-profit system. And, money does not have a conscience. So it's all about what's profitable. And so, I mean, that's not going to be something that's going to function as a public service. So, I mean, I think unless we address the fundamental issues, we're not going to make much progress. And we're really at a point where we need to start making progress.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about the tar sands. So
Sure.
yeah, that's an area where we need to make some progress because of carbon thresholds and stuff. Tell us a little bit about your point of view.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there is a piece of pipeline right now that is in St. Paul, Minneapolis area, across the Great Lakes region right there. We got a video on Green TV of it. It's an Enbridge pipeline that has a 50-year pipe, meaning its life expectancy is 50 years, and this pipe is currently 65 years old or something like that. And these guys, there's one gentleman that's still alive who helped build the existing pipe, and they interviewed him. He's saying, I can't believe it's there and all that, and they show computer-generated models of how when this pipe breaks, the devastation that it's going to cause to 10% of the world's fresh water supply right there in, northern Wisconsin, Michigan area. I mean, it's pristine, lands up there. And it's a real big concern. And, the fact that it's there is a real big concern. But the biggest concern, comes from a gentleman that I met a couple months ago. He was from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and he was here in Wisconsin giving a talk about how he was dying from exposure to tar sands. This was a year and a half after the 2013 oil disaster in Kalamazoo, Michigan, where they spilled 1 million gallons of tar sands into the Kalamazoo River, the largest oil disaster in U.S. history in 2013. And most people don't even know that it happened. So anyways, this gentleman went, after they said the water was safe to go swimming in and everything, he went to step in what he thought was 6 inches of water, and he sunk up to his waist in tar sands. Apparently, they just threw some sand on top of it. His friends pulled him out, and he was covered in this, tar sands, and he got sick for several days, went and saw a doctor, and now has a lethal diagnosis. And, and he goes on to say how all these people that were living around there all got this same lethal diagnosis. And I'm shooting video of this guy, and he was with the Tar Sands Resistance Tour here in Madison. Then he, grown man, just breaks down, starts crying, and he says, but that's not really what gets me. What really gets me is 8-year-old little boy went swimming in the river after they said it was safe to go swimming. And he comes out with a rash, and 3 months later has to see a liver and kidney specialist, and he's got liver cancer at age 8. And that shook me to my core. I got a 9-year-old son that lives here that swims in this Wisconsin River, and we got this tar sands 61, 66 pipeline, which is now the largest tar sands pipeline in the country, going clear through Wisconsin, right across our freshwater, our rivers, our lands, and The Kalamazoo oil disaster, that pipe leaked for 17 hours. And this new pipeline that they built in Wisconsin here, they've turned up the pressure and increased this pipeline. It would leak the same amount of oil in 25 minutes. It's insane. It's insane. They're stepping it up. They're not turning it down. I mean, everything they're saying about their concerns of how they're, being responsible is a lie. Enbridge averages 1 spill a week. And to them, it's a business write-off. I was also at the Dane County Zoning Board meeting when they were getting this conditional use permit to run their pipeline through Marshall, and the gentleman said the insurance companies could not provide enough insurance to cover the amount of destruction this pipeline will cause when it leaks because of the increased pressure that it's under. And you know what they did? They gave it to them anyways. $25 million, conditional use, go ahead. When, we know for certain when they spill tons of oil, they don't even clean it up. You go out to Kalamazoo, there's still oil sitting out there right now. They don't even clean it up. There is no cleaning it up. Not to mention, they didn't even insure it. Not to mention this pipeline up north where there's no way they could insure all that. And, this is a crime against humanity. This isn't, corporate politics. This affects us all. And, people really need to wake up and realize you need to get educated on yourself because if the mainstream media ain't going to tell you, you still need to know about it. This could kill your kids. This could kill you. You could wake up one day, your water could be poisonous. You can wake up one day and realize you've been slowly poisoned. I mean, when you talk to some of these people that have been poisoned, it's a little bit of a wake-up call. Wisconsin's supposed to be one of the safest places in the country to live. It's the breadbasket of our country. And here we are with, ALEC representatives in our country gutting our DNR, just gutted a top 10 university. They've completely infiltrated all of our state organizations and left us unorganized and unable to fight back. These are very deliberate efforts. When they removed collective bargaining, I mean, they dismantled the unions. I mean, these are fights that happened long ago that a lot of people have already died for fighting to make this progress, and they're turning the clock back. And it's really scary because where are we going to go? And what are we going to do when this is done? I'm sorry, I get a little worked up talking about it. I mean, this is why I do the work with Green TV, though. GreenTV.com. I definitely recommend people go and get educated on these issues. We have a feature on there. If you have an important issue, you can submit it to us, and you can go right to the bottom of the site and submit a post. And if it's good, we'll publish it so other people can know about it. And we're definitely looking for other volunteers and stuff to help get involved, and plan to be more active in the future. We've had the privilege of meeting with Bill McKibben several times, Winona LaDuke, Medea Benjamin. I mean, we saw Bernie Sanders, but John Nichols. We also got a book for sale on the website called "We're Still Here: Loving the Wisconsin Uprising." It talks about the uprising in 2011 in Madison, Wisconsin, and John Nichols wrote the foreword in the book. Leslie Amsterdam Peterson, very well-known photographer from Madison, did all the photography for several years. Excellent book. A little piece of history. I definitely recommend checking that out too. But anything that can be done is a plus. And I respect anybody that does anything for this fight. It's so easy to just turn your head or fall in line or say, "Oh, I got to work," or I don't got time, or nobody's got time. I mean, you got to make time. You have to care. I mean, this is something. If we don't do something about this, our kids are going to be dealing with this.
Sure.
And to me, that's unacceptable.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. There's generational issues going on. So, hey, that brings us up to our first break, and when we come back, have some more follow-up questions about environmental pollution and how that affects subsequent generations. Thanks for joining us today.
All right. Excellent. Thanks.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
With us today is Jay McDonough, and Jay is the president of Green TV. Welcome back, Jay.
Thank you.
And yeah, thanks for bringing up generational issues. So, yeah, a lot of people aren't aware of how many generational issues there are when it comes to environmental sustainability and probably other areas of sustainability as well. But yeah, what are some of the points of no return that you see in affecting future generations?
Well, I think one of the things that you can kind of see already is, from my generation, and I'm 33, I look to my parents a lot of times, and, they were brought up with the philosophy of, recycle, reduce, reuse, which, I'm a big fan of that philosophy, but, you mentioned point of no return, and, I think, that has become not enough anymore. It's more than just recycling. I mean, of course, it's, you need to take that independent initiative, but you need to get creative. You need to think of new things. I mean, you need to get involved. And, I really harp on the education because, I think just saying like, oh, well, I'll just do a little bit and that's enough. That's not okay. So I really think, as far as trying to create real solutions, it's going to take more thought than that.
Yeah. It's interesting because, it's doable. There's so many things that are doable in terms of, we know what to do. The technology is here and we could do it. But, there's other things that get in the way. And, the status quo tends to hang on longer than it should. And, we end up with tipping points. And so, it'll be interesting to see what develops with extreme weather, how that's interacting with carbon in the atmosphere, and the melting of the ice caps and sinking of the East Coast, So there's a variety of factors that kind of converge and affect the coastal populations, which are, up to 50% now. But yeah, what's your perspective on carbon?
Well, I had a chance to speak. Ask Neil deGrasse Tyson a few questions when he was at the Earth Day conference, and I asked him about climate change and what he thought, and mass extinctions, and I trust his opinion a lot more than mine scientifically. But he was able to say that, you know, pretty much the planet will be fine. And, you know, it's unfortunate for people because, you know, we'll probably be the ones that get wiped out in this process. And you know, I mean, I would hope so. I would hope it would be us and not the planet because, you know, it's really something that's within our control that we've created. You know, a lot of the big misconception that I hear from people, you know, with carbon, especially is, you know, automobiles and, you know, and the people that have the audacity to stand up to that, you know, climate change and say that, you know, there's nothing they can do or it's not real or anything. I mean, it's just kind of insane to even say that, I think. But, you know, they say, well, you know, you drive a gas car, you're just as bad as everybody else, you know. And the reality is we don't have any, we don't have enough alternatives. And, you know, and when you look at the reason why, you know, it really comes down to our monetary system and the capitalist, you know, culture that we live in. And, you know, I mean, there's a few videos that I saw that really changed my whole life path and my reason in life. They're called the Zeitgeist videos. And they're a little dry and, you know, maybe even a little kind of far-fetched based on what society is, you know, filled you up with your whole life. But if you're a person that's kind of a free thinker and, you know, you have an open mind and you want to know the answers to some of these questions, I highly recommend watching these videos. You know, they really changed my whole perspective in regards to, you know, the world I live in and what's important to me. And, you know, self-maximizing and getting a fancy house and a big car, you know, really, who's going to remember that when you're gone, you know? And I mean, and there is things that you can do to leave a respectable legacy of positive change, but, you know, you need to take that initiative now and not, you know, plan for things that are unknown or you know, just embrace this way of life because somebody said so. I mean, you need to think for yourself with common sense and, you know, and what makes sense and what's right, what's morally rewarding and why, you know, and these are really important questions that, you know, our society conditions us not to ask. You know, our society rewards people for falling in line and obeying. And, you know, and really when we look at the fundamental problem, the capitalist, you know, model is a big part of that because, you know, profit doesn't have a conscience and, you know, it doesn't really care. You know, our society now has the characteristics of a sociopath. I mean, we're heading down a very dangerous road and nobody seems to be able to stop it. And, you know, I hope, you know, Bernie Sanders gets in there, is able to do some of the things that, you know, he's wanting to do because we really need it. You know, I think we are at that tipping point where, you know, we don't do something about this in the next, you know, 10 years or something. Who knows? It could be the end of people. You know, and really, I don't want to be too down on it because it's so hard to kind of, you know, say, well, what can I do that'll make a difference? You know, you just got to look at other countries like, you know, Denmark, you know, places where they're considered the best place in the world to live and why that might be. And I mean, a lot of it has to do with their, you know, they're environmentally responsible and socially responsible. And they don't reward that, you know, capitalist behavior of just hoard as much resources as you can and, you know, forget everybody else. I mean, it's really a terrible model when you think of it. You know, it's not one that encourages people to be innovative and think, you know, and help people, which is really what we need. So that's where I tend to come from is how can we build community? How can we increase sustainability? How can we strengthen our message? You know, I'm also involved with the Grassroots Network, the Green Drinks, 350, Sierra Club. You know, there's a lot of great organizations that are really doing, you know, good things now. And so, like, what we try to do is highlight their efforts because, you know, the big money, you know, media, they're not going to talk about these people because, you know, they're owned by the people that are doing these things. So it's all about the grassroots organizing at this point. And, you know, hopefully we can find effective means to educate people while we still have an opportunity to.
Sure. Yeah. You know, it seems like one of the easiest and yet hardest things to do is just to change our diet. You know, that there's 90% of what's cut down in the Amazon is pasture. And so a lot could be done just by changing our diet, and getting away from beef, the least efficient meat, 4 times less efficient than poultry, and 3 times less than chicken. But what's your perspective on, what would make an impact in terms of nutrition and diet, how that impacts environmental sustainability?
Sure. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was actually at the People's Climate March in New York City, and there was a lot of people that were out there that were vegetarians, but they were very anti meat, and I didn't really understand it, and I had to ask them what's this about? I don't get it, and they really told me there's a lot of greenhouse gases that come out from these industrial farms, and and it's actually a real big problem. And I was surprised that I didn't know about it when I realized the magnitude of it. And I try to stay on top of these things as much as possible, but it's not always possible. But in terms of health and things like that, not only could we be reducing our carbon footprint, by changing how we do things and raise cattle and things like that. But, in terms of what our own health, it's funny because this past year I've started eating all organic food, and I try not to eat any processed foods at all. And I belong to a CSA, and so we get all of our food that's locally grown. And so we support, local community by buying food, and we eat, non-GMO local food. And I didn't think it was going to be that significant of a difference when I first started doing it, but my health has improved greatly. I wasn't aware of all the chemicals and stuff I was putting in my body with the processed food, processed meat. You got hormones and a lot of the milk and stuff. You have to kind of be your own, dietitian and really do your research on what's in the things that you're eating. I would definitely say that, this is an area where, you can look again and say our capitalist system doesn't care if you're healthy. If it's more profitable to sell something like this, then we'll do it like that. And there's this movie that just came out, Fed Up, and I thought it was really great. It talks about how we have way too much sugar that we consume, and that the daily recommended amount of sugar that we should consume is not accurate. That we should actually consume a lot less sugar. But the thing is sugar makes things taste better, which makes people buy it more, so they sell more, and so it's. For them, it's better to say, it's okay to have sugar and lots of it. And, but they put it in baby formulas. And now we have kids with childhood obesity and things like that we haven't seen ever. And, these are really serious things that affect us that people don't pay attention to in the short term. But in the long term, you can see the side effects, and they should care because in the long term, it comes full circle. That kid with the childhood obesity turns into diabetes, turns into health problems, turns into, mental and social problems and, other things that trickle out into society, where as if we had somebody that cared about this kid to begin with, maybe he wouldn't have had that problem, and maybe everything else that he would have done would have had all these positive ripple effects instead of negative. And, I think that's the pattern that we see in our culture a lot, is that we live in this throwaway society, this scarcity system that just doesn't care. About the people that fall through the cracks, and and it's all about just take care of yourself and don't worry about others, and and that's really terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry, kind of going off on a tangent there. I'm a firm believer in walk the walk, though. Personally, I'm not religious, but I'm a very spiritual person, and I really believe in trying to be godlike and caring for people that are less fortunate and helping people even when I have no means to really do so. I really believe that that's the stuff that life's really made up of.
Yeah. No, that's good. So, actually, that sort of thing has direct impacts on environmental sustainability. So thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, I want to ask you about what the priorities are for Green TV in terms of issues that you want to cover. But we're coming up to our next break point here, so why don't we go ahead and go to a break, and then when we come back, we can talk about kind of your hierarchy, whatever that is at the moment. And with us today is Jay McDonough. He is the president of Green TV. So thanks for joining us today.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Ted Shire, your host, and with us today is Jay McDonough. Jay is president of Green TV. Jay, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hey, why don't you give us an overview of the priorities that you have for Green TV? What are the sustainability priorities in terms of the issues that you want to cover?
Sure. Well, right now we're really interested in enhancing our online efforts and really enhancing communication on a grassroots level. We're trying to organize, various topics based on what the community wants, not exactly what we want to show, but what the community thinks the important issues are. So we're allowing volunteers to get involved in our organization and help us, manage the content and those efforts. One of the things, beyond enhancing our communication, our media, we really want to start hosting a lot more events. You go to greentv.com, up at the top, it's got a little section there for Green Talks, which, is just kind of a summary of what we're trying to start, but we really want to be doing these events all over the place, and we're going to be looking for independent producers to help host these events, produce videos, and we'll be sharing those on the internet. Right now, we're in the process of allowing green products. We're going to allow green products to be sold on our website, and any of the money that we make by allowing people to sell products on the site, we're going to use it to pay people to help our efforts going forward. Right now, we're kind of a grassroots organization, and we're all volunteers. So although we've been around for a little while, we're still kind of we don't have much money.
Yeah. That's admirable that you're that you're doing this on a volunteer basis. So thanks for your service there. Hey, so that brings up an interesting question. So I went through a crisis when I was in my 30s, and I found that my identity was too dependent on my work. So when my work lost meaning, I didn't know who I was, and was actually suicidal for a little while. And I'd be depressed all week, but when I'd volunteer, the black clouds would lift, and my it'd be like I was back to my old self. What does volunteering do for your spiritual health? Because you mentioned spiritual health before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you absolutely just nailed it. Service work will keep you healthy. The only thing I can say to that is, sometimes we're our own worst enemy. We get in our head about things, and your perspective gets skewed when really, if you can do some service work and, help somebody that's a little less fortunate or something, a lot of times if you're going through some stuff or, having a little pity party, you'll get over that pretty quick when you realize it could be worse, or, you're not, as down as somebody else. And I'm not saying, go look down on somebody. I'm just saying, like, it helps your perspective sometimes to do this work, not only to feel better about yourself, like morally, and just, for yourself and your own knowledge, knowing that, you're a good person and things, but it's just to help your perspective too. And, I think service work is a really great thing to get involved in. And it's important to do it for the right reasons too, and what you said is absolutely the right reason. When you help others, it helps you too.
Yep. Hey, so do you have, so I mentioned Meals from the Heartland, which is going on today through Saturday here in Des Moines, but do you have meal packaging opportunities where you're at?
I'm sorry, meal packaging?
Meal packaging. In other words, packaging up meals for those who are less fortunate, or meals packaged up for soup kitchens or food banks, things like that. That's not something that I'm involved in. I do know the Madison, Wisconsin area has a big need for things like that. There's a large homeless population here. A lot of them sleep outdoors, and Wisconsin gets, unbearably cold, 9 months out of the year. So it's really, I see, these people outside, and I feel so bad for them. And I know there's a couple activists who have taken it upon themselves to go around in a school bus, a heated school bus in the middle of the winter, and make sure that these people don't freeze to death, and, have a little food to eat, because they, have fallen through the cracks. Yeah.
But that's about all I know of. Yeah, some grassroots, efforts, but nothing like official or anything.
Yeah, no, but that's a great example. We've got an organization here in Des Moines called JAPA, and they do that sort of thing. They provide heaters to the homeless in the winter, nice. And tents and bags and all sorts of things. So and they go out to the camps. So it's one of the few organizations that goes out to the camps, as opposed to the homeless having to come in to the shelters or whatever the case may be.
That's really great. We need a lot more stuff like that.
Yeah.
One of the future plans that my associate at Green TV and I hope to get into in the future is with sustainable housing. We would really like to build off-grid cooperative communities that do things like generate all their own energy, but also generate their agriculture and have shared social services for raising children. I mean, which is a really expensive part of life for a lot of people. That takes away from the time with your family. You got to work more and all that. So one of the things that we looked at doing was refurbishing shipping containers that have been decommissioned and building off-grid sustainable homes out of repurposed shipping containers and building communities out of these. And then, with land trusts, we could offer a more affordable way of life with a better quality of life is the intention. So we got some of these plans we'd really love to get to in the future, and I really think they're going to have some success too. But right now, I guess we're kind of just dealing with what's in front of us. But yeah, we had the chance to go to the Green Build in 2013 and meet with David Gottfried, who invented the LEED building standard, and some of his associates. And we're at the Midwest Renewable Energy Fair 2 years in a row now, and just met all these really innovative people. And their ideas and thoughts are very similar to a lot of other people's. So I mean, there is some unification in the thinking here, with leaning towards a resource-based economy and more of a, I hate to use the word, but it's a socialist kind of approach to dealing with some of society's problems. I mean, instead of this scarcity system where we throw people away and just don't care, we need to do something with those people, and we need to help them. And and it's not okay to just throw things away. There is no away. There's a great organization called Awakening the Dreamer, and the Pachamama Alliance. And they talk about they do these things called symposiums, which they go around and they encourage sustainable living, and they give people the resources they need to go and host these symposiums themselves, and just spread the message. And it's so unfortunate that we've had to resort to these kinds of methods to educate people, because I mean, what they're saying is that it's the same thing, and it's such a common sense message. It's almost like unreal. Like people don't just think this naturally. I mean, like what's wrong? And and it's a message of sustainability. And I think I think people, if they knew what they could do just by caring, I think a lot more people would care. And and I think if people understood, like the way we've been misinformed, I think they'd be very upset. When I saw the Zeitgeist videos for the first time, I watched the first one. I had to mentally digest it for over a week before I could watch the following two. And it really, it shook me to the core. It challenged things that, have been ingrained in me since I was born. And, not only did it challenge those things, I mean, it gave me legitimate answers to questions I've been asking my whole life that, really shaped how I'm going to live the rest of my life, which is really important. So, I think education is one of the biggest things we have. We have freedom of speech. We can talk to people. We need to get rid of this Citizens United, where money has the voice of people. And that's really just wrong and disgusting, and it definitely does not represent the people at all with the mainstream media you're seeing on the television. And it's one of the things we just need to work to fight to develop a more truthful public service media. It's just simple as that.
Yeah. You raised an important point in that last section that you did there. renewable energy for the homeless, we've got something in Des Moines, like a little house project that's coming up. It's probably going to happen yet this year, but renewable energy would be a great option for the homeless, and like you said, things like converted shipping containers, stuff like that. There's all kinds of available materials that could be put to use and help people get out of misery, get out of miserable situations. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So have you been down to the Amazon, or have you covered deforestation much?
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
Have you been to the Amazon forest, or do you cover deforestation?
I cover deforestation. Greenpeace is an organization that's really involved with trying to save the rainforest. I personally have not been there, but I have read enough about it to know that it's very important that we stop this. A lot of the drugs that we've made come from things that were found in these forests, and there's so many reasons to leave these intact and not be mining the world. It's insane. I mean, you look at a lot of these open pit mines and stuff. They not only do they take the trees off the land. I mean, they build toxic wash ponds. They leave huge holes in the ground. They dig up, toxic tar sands and stuff from way down there that just gets all over the place and is really, just toxic. So it's not like, when they're done, they just cut down some trees. I mean, it's a lot of times they're leaving this land unusable, I mean, like when you buy a piece of real estate or something, you buy it with the expectations that when you're done with it, you're going to be able to sell it to somebody else so they can use it. These people, when they use this land, it's unusable for future generations. And I mean, that's something that really needs to be looked at because, they're exploiting our resources for profit, which, maybe, technically it's not illegal, but, there is some problems with that. Like I just said with the land, leaving it unusable. I mean, that's not leasing a piece of land, that's destroying it, I think there should be, stricter regulations on these corporations. I know it's not a popular line of thought, but absolutely there should be. I mean, why should people have more restrictions on them and not these corporations? Especially when, the corporations are the ones with all the money and the power. And, and so therefore, they don't have to abide by the same laws as normal people. They don't have to pay taxes. They don't have to be responsible. I mean, I don't get it because these are things that we don't allow normal people to do, and but it's okay for corporations to do it. So I think it's a big double standard, and I think it all comes back down to the money system. And people caring enough to get educated and try to fight these things. I mean, I'll say this too. We're fighting a very hard battle with this because we're up against the 1%, the big multinational corporations who have organizations like ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, where we have organized efforts to undermine our school systems, to undermine our DNR. To go and to change laws to benefit these large multinational corporations. I mean, these ALEC representatives are not representing the people at all, and they're boldly even saying that. I mean, that's organized treason is what that is. I mean, these people should be in prison. And, the fact that they're looked up to because they have a lot of money is disgusting and wrong. I mean, they're not good people. They kill kids, they kill the environment. They really don't care. They'll squash your education so you don't even have the means to combat them. And if you're one of the people that fall through the cracks, they could definitely care less. And,
so how do you think communities and business can work together to increase the level of sustainability? For instance, the Nature Conservancy is a great example here, I think. What are your thoughts?
Sure. Well, I mean, there's things that have been done in the past with land trust, things like that were protections that have been put in place. I mean, unfortunately, there's only so much we really can do. We rely heavily on our legal system and our government, which, are not the most effective ways of dealing with this, but always has the final say. Really the way that we can combat this is to support local business, support local community, empower your local communities. It's kind of hard to say, but I mean, we need to divest our business and stuff into more sustainable business. We got a lot better chance of doing that than trying to convince the Waltons to go green.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, that would be my opinion. I mean, that's really, get involved, get active, talk to people. I mean, I can't stress the education enough. I mean, so many people are just, I don't do politics, and sure, I can understand that. Politics are frustrating. They're boring. I mean, the politicians are liars and jerks, but only because we let it get like that. Only because people don't do politics, The jerks, they're doing politics. And that's why we're all getting screwed. I mean, we really need to, take that initiative to say, I'm going to get a thicker skin, I'm not just going to take Fox News word for it. I'm going to actually go to the C-SPAN and watch the boring, legislative sessions and stuff. I mean, it really is. It's important to get educated because there is things we can do on a local level, and that's really where it starts. Get involved with the grassroots, and talk to your neighbor. Get involved with your local CSA. Support local business, and and do everything you can to go green.
No, that's great. Hey, really appreciate you coming on today. Again, this has been Jay McDonough. He is the president of Green TV. And Jay, thanks a lot for joining us today. And I thought that last point was a good one to end on. And, basically those kind of grassroots efforts can circumvent the political roadblocks that we see. When people start making a difference, it really takes care of the issue. Without having to get into all kinds of power struggles and things like that. So thanks for bringing that up, and thanks for joining us today.
Yep, absolutely. And get involved at greentv.com, too.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, take care.